In the journey of life, we often encounter people who seem to drain our energy, cause us doubt, or lead us down paths of uncertainty. But what if these experiences are not random? What if they are opportunities to learn, grow, and become wiser in choosing who we allow into our lives? Today, I invite you to explore 5 signs that reveal when someone's intentions are not pure. By recognizing these signs, we can protect our peace, strengthen our spirit, and ensure that we only surround ourselves with those who lift us higher. Stay with me until the end for clarity and insight. Number 1. Manipulation of others' emotions. One of the clearest signs that you may be dealing with an individual who harbors malicious intent is their manipulation of others' emotions. Emotionally manipulative people often seek to control and influence others by exploiting their feelings, fears, or vulnerabilities. They don't simply interact with you, they craft emotional scenarios designed to elicit a specific response. Whether it's guilt, fear, sympathy, or anger. By doing so, they can steer your decisions, actions, and responses to suit their desires, all while appearing innocent, concerned, or even benevolent. These manipulators thrive on your emotional reactions. They can make you feel guilty for something you didn't do or convince you that your fears are irrational, yet their actions are often the very cause of your distress. For example, a person might pretend to be deeply hurt by something you said or did, even if you did nothing wrong. They may use this feigned hurt to elicit an apology or to control the direction of the conversation. Over time, this tactic leaves you walking on eggshells, constantly second-guessing your words and actions, always striving to avoid conflict, and thus losing your sense of emotional stability and security. I will tell you a story of a young woman named Sarah. She had a close friend, Emma, who was constantly in need. Whenever Emma faced challenges, be it at work, in her personal life, or with her family, she would turn to Sarah, pouring out her heart and asking for support. Sarah, being a caring person, often put her own needs aside to help Emma, offering her time, energy, and emotional support. However, Emma's problems never seemed to end. Each time Sarah thought the situation had improved, Emma would find another issue to discuss, making Sarah feel guilty for not doing enough. Emma's emotional dependence on Sarah grew, and it became clear that Emma was using her vulnerability to manipulate Sarah into continuous emotional labor. Sarah eventually started noticing patterns. Whenever she would express her own challenges or needs, Emma would shift the conversation back to her own problems, making Sarah feel as though her concerns weren't as important. Sarah realized that Emma's behavior wasn't about friendship. It was about control. By positioning herself as the victim, Emma kept Sarah emotionally engaged, and in doing so, ensured Sarah's constant availability. In this way, Emma had been manipulating Sarah's emotions for her own benefit. Emotional manipulation can also take the form of gaslighting, a technique used to make the victim question their own reality or sanity. A manipulator might deny things they said or did, even when presented with evidence, in an effort to confuse and destabilize the victim. This results in self-doubt, making it more likely that the victim will defer to the manipulator's version of events and decisions. Over time, the victim becomes more dependent on the manipulator for emotional validation and guidance, creating a dangerous power imbalance. Manipulation of emotions is not limited to relationships where one person has a clear victim. It can also play out in professional settings, where an individual might use emotional appeal to gain favors or leverage power. They may exaggerate their need for help or concern about a problem, making others feel compelled to prioritize their issues over their own. The key to recognizing emotional manipulation is understanding that it is a form of control, one where the manipulator uses your emotions against you for personal gain. Emotional manipulators are masters of reading others and understanding their emotional triggers. They exploit these weaknesses to keep you in a constant state of uncertainty, making it difficult for you to make clear-headed decisions or maintain personal boundaries. Recognizing this manipulation, while challenging, is the first step in taking back your emotional autonomy and protecting yourself from being used for someone else's benefit. And number 2. Constant need for control. One of the clearest indicators that you are dealing with an individual who has harmful intentions is their relentless need for control. This individual thrives on dominating every aspect of the environment, relationship, or situation. They will exert influence over the smallest decisions and the largest ones, seeking to dictate the thoughts, actions, and behaviors of those around them. Their goal is not cooperation, but total command, which leads to a suffocating dynamic where others lose their autonomy and sense of self. The need for control often manifests in a desire to make all the decisions. Whether in a personal relationship, at work, or in social settings, a person with a controlling nature will insist on having the final say in every matter. They may subtly or overtly dismiss your opinions, ideas, or suggestions, placing little value on what you have to offer. For example, in a work environment, they may demand that you follow their way of doing things, disregarding your own expertise or experience. They might micromanage projects to such an extent that you feel like you have no space to operate independently. This type of control is not about collaboration. It's about suppressing your ability to make choices and forcing you into a subordinate role. In more personal relationships, this desire for control can become even more pervasive. The manipulator might seek to influence where you go, who you associate with, and how you spend your time. They could even try to control your emotions by dictating how you should feel in certain situations. "You shouldn't be upset about that," or "Why are you so angry? It's not a big deal," are common statements made to invalidate your own feelings. They want to regulate your emotional state, ensuring that their desires or needs take precedence over your own. Over time, this erodes your confidence and ability to trust your judgment. This need for control can also surface as creating dependency. The manipulator may deliberately place you in situations where you feel incapable of functioning without their help or guidance. They may undermine your ability to make decisions on your own, subtly implying that you are not capable of handling things without their involvement. By making you doubt your own abilities, they keep you reliant on them for validation or direction. Over time, this pattern leaves you feeling small, powerless, and unable to break free from their influence. Another form of control is the exploitation of others' weaknesses. A person with an insatiable need for control often seeks out vulnerabilities in others and exploits them to further their own agenda. They may use your insecurities or fears as leverage to manipulate your decisions or actions. They might even create situations where you feel vulnerable or dependent, only to swoop in and rescue you, further cementing their power over you. The pursuit of control also leads to a pattern of isolating others. By limiting your choices, dictating your relationships, and controlling where you go or what you do, the manipulator slowly strips away your independence and places you in a position where you feel isolated from outside influences. In relationships, this often looks like pushing you to cut ties with family or friends, keeping you in a world where the manipulator's voice is the only one that matters. In a work environment, this isolation can manifest as discouraging you from seeking advice or feedback from colleagues, leaving you more reliant on the manipulator for guidance and validation. The need for control is rooted in insecurity. A person who constantly seeks to dominate others is often trying to mask their own fears and vulnerabilities. They may feel threatened by the autonomy of others, and thus, their desire to control stems from a place of weakness rather than strength. Recognizing this trait allows you to understand that the manipulator's need for control is not a reflection of your own worth or capabilities, but a projection of their inner turmoil. It is vital to maintain your autonomy and assert your boundaries, for only then can you free yourself from their oppressive influence. Number 3. Lack of empathy. One of the most unsettling traits of an individual with malicious intentions is their profound lack of empathy. This is a key sign that someone may not have your best interests at heart. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is essential for building genuine, healthy relationships. It fosters compassion, cooperation, and mutual respect. In contrast, a person who lacks empathy is unable or unwilling to connect with the emotions of those around them, which often results in a relationship marked by selfishness, disregard, and exploitation. The absence of empathy in such individuals becomes evident in the way they treat others. Self-interest is at the core of their actions, and they will often prioritize their needs, desires, or goals without any concern for how their behavior affects those around them. They may act without consideration for how their words or actions will make others feel. For instance, they might make hurtful comments or disregard someone's emotions during a difficult time, without ever acknowledging the impact of their insensitivity. Their focus is purely on what benefits them, with little to no regard for the emotional cost of their actions. People lacking empathy are also incapable of genuine concern for the suffering of others. When someone they know is in distress, these individuals may offer a token, shallow response, perhaps a pat on the back or a dismissive remark, but their true feelings are rarely aligned with the situation. They might say things like, "I don't see why you're upset," or "It's not that big of a deal." They may even go as far as to mock or belittle the pain of others, seeing it as an opportunity for humor or ridicule rather than offering understanding. This shows that their responses are more about their comfort and convenience than offering any true support to those in need. A lack of empathy is also evident in how they deal with conflict or criticism. When faced with an issue or disagreement, someone with no empathy will typically be defensive or dismissive, refusing to acknowledge the feelings or perspectives of others. Instead of seeking a resolution that accounts for everyone's emotions, they might escalate the situation or dismiss the concerns of others entirely. For example, if they hurt someone's feelings, they may never apologize or take accountability for their actions. Instead, they may find ways to justify or shift the blame, showing no true understanding of how their behavior affected the other person. Even more concerning is how they may take advantage of people who are vulnerable or in a weakened state. Since they lack the emotional awareness to understand or care about the pain of others, they can exploit those vulnerabilities without hesitation. For example, they may take advantage of someone's kindness, manipulate them in times of emotional distress, or use others' weaknesses for personal gain. In extreme cases, this lack of empathy can lead to exploitation, abuse, or emotional manipulation, where the person systematically breaks down the self-esteem or confidence of others for their own benefit. Individuals who lack empathy are adept at faking emotional responses. They might mimic the appropriate reactions when it benefits them, such as pretending to be concerned when they want something from you, or acting sympathetic when they are trying to gain trust or sympathy. However, their actions never truly align with the emotions they display. It's a form of emotional dishonesty, a calculated attempt to manipulate how others perceive them, without any authentic understanding or care. The inability to empathize not only hurts others emotionally, but also limits the manipulator's ability to form deep, meaningful connections. Relationships based on mutual understanding and respect are impossible when empathy is absent. Instead, the foundation of these relationships becomes built on self-interest, deceit, and a lack of consideration for others. Understanding that a person's actions or words are rooted in a lack of empathy helps protect your own emotional well-being. as you can more clearly recognize the signs and take steps to avoid being manipulated or harmed. Number 4. Chronic dishonesty. A hallmark sign that you are dealing with an individual who harbors malicious intent is their chronic dishonesty. Lies, half-truths, and manipulations become their default way of interacting with others. They don't just lie out of necessity or error. Dishonesty is part of their nature. Whether the lie is large or small, it serves a purpose: control, power, or to create a favorable image of themselves at the expense of others. This pattern of dishonesty erodes trust, weakens relationships, and creates a toxic environment where deceit is a constant presence. Chronic dishonesty is often subtle at first. It might begin with small lies, harmless, seemingly inconsequential details that seem insignificant at the time. These lies may even be dismissed as white lies or harmless exaggerations. For example, an individual might tell you they were busy at work when in fact they were simply avoiding a responsibility. Initially, these fabrications might not raise many concerns, but over time, the lies compound. They may begin to manipulate situations and facts, distorting the truth to suit their narrative. As the lies build, so does the level of manipulation. These individuals are strategic in their dishonesty, using lies to shape the perceptions of others. They craft elaborate stories to gain sympathy, avoid responsibility, or shift blame onto someone else. When they face the consequences of their actions, they will lie or deflect to escape accountability. If you confront them, they will often react with outrage or defensiveness, turning the tables to make you feel guilty for questioning their version of events. This creates an environment where you start doubting your own judgment, leading to confusion and self-blame. Dishonesty from these individuals extends beyond the personal sphere. It may spill into professional or public contexts as well. They will misrepresent facts, falsify achievements, or downplay failures to enhance their image or avoid scrutiny. In a workplace setting, they might take credit for someone else's work, or manipulate data to benefit themselves. In relationships, they may tell stories that distort reality to make themselves appear blameless or more virtuous, all while subtly undermining the character of others. One of the most insidious aspects of chronic dishonesty is its gradual erosion of trust. The first time someone lies to you, you may feel uneasy, but may give them the benefit of the doubt. However, as the lies continue, trust becomes harder to restore. The more they lie, the more you start to question everything they say. You become hyper-vigilant, constantly wondering if you're being deceived. Over time, this leads to a deep sense of uncertainty. Your relationships, whether personal or professional, are strained because you no longer feel you can rely on the person. Each interaction becomes clouded with suspicion and doubt. Another layer of dishonesty is the habit of gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation in which an individual makes someone question their own reality. When confronted with a lie or inconsistency, the manipulator may deny or alter the facts so convincingly that the victim begins to doubt their own memory or perception. They may claim, "That's not what I said," or "You're remembering it wrong," making you feel confused and uncertain about what actually happened. Gaslighting is an effective strategy for controlling others, as it destabilizes their sense of self and makes them more reliant on the manipulator's version of the truth. Chronic dishonesty is also indicative of a deeper moral flaw in the individual. They may lie not because they need to protect themselves, but because they see lying as a means of gaining power or control. This kind of person does not value truth as an essential part of healthy relationships or personal integrity. Instead, truth becomes expendable, a tool to be manipulated for their own benefit. Recognizing these patterns of dishonesty is essential, as they expose the true nature of the individual's character and intentions. Understanding the impact of chronic dishonesty allows you to protect yourself from their deceit and prevent further damage to your relationships and sense of self. The Number 5. Consistent exploitation of others. A clear indicator that you are dealing with someone who harbors malicious intent is their consistent exploitation of others. Exploitation in this context refers to the act of using people for personal gain without regard for their well-being, interests, or autonomy. The person may use charm, manipulation, or deceit to achieve their goals, all while disregarding the rights and needs of others. Unlike an occasional lapse in judgment or a rare unintentional misuse of a situation, the exploiter's behavior is systematic, calculated, and ongoing. Such individuals is a profound self-interest, where the needs and desires of others are secondary or entirely irrelevant. They often view relationships and interactions as transactional. What can I gain from this person? The exploiter is adept at identifying vulnerable individuals, those who may be emotionally, financially, or socially dependent, and then using these vulnerabilities for their own advantage. For example, someone who is struggling emotionally may be made to feel needed or valued by the manipulator, only for the manipulator to later demand something in return, whether it be time, resources, or energy. This exploitation often leaves the victim feeling used, drained, and unappreciated, but the manipulator shows no remorse, as the interaction was solely about serving their needs. In professional settings, exploitation often takes the form of taking credit for others' work or manipulating situations to secure personal advancement. The exploiter might claim responsibility for achievements that were actually the result of a team effort or the work of others, leaving them to reap the rewards, recognition, promotions, or bonuses, while those who contributed are left unnoticed. Alternatively, they might coerce others into taking on additional tasks or burdens, using guilt or promises of rewards that are never delivered. This creates an atmosphere of distrust and resentment, as people are left feeling that their hard work is being stolen or undervalued. Another insidious form of exploitation is when individuals manipulate emotional dependencies. They may cultivate relationships with those who are isolated or vulnerable, knowing that their emotional needs can be leveraged. A person might intentionally create dependency, offering help or support when it suits them, only to later demand something in return. This could be as innocuous as expecting unquestioning loyalty, or as serious as taking financial or personal resources under false pretenses. The exploiter knows that the other person will feel compelled to comply, and often relies on emotional blackmail to get their way. Some exploiters also have a pattern of deliberately creating conflict between people to further their own advantage. They might stir up jealousy, resentment, or competition among colleagues, friends, or family members, and then position themselves as the peacemaker or problem solver, reaping the benefits of both sides. In this way, they perpetuate a cycle of division and manipulation, always ensuring that others are dependent on them to resolve issues, while simultaneously benefiting from the chaos they have created. What sets the exploiter apart from others is their ability to hide their true intentions behind a facade of generosity, kindness, or concern. On the surface, they appear helpful, warm, and supportive, but beneath this exterior lies a calculated approach to using others for personal gain. They often charm those around them into believing that their intentions are pure, making it difficult to recognize their exploitative nature until it's too late. The exploiter's behavior may also extend to using personal weaknesses or insecurities as leverage. If they sense that you are particularly vulnerable in a specific area, such as financial instability, low self-esteem, or personal insecurities, they will exploit these weaknesses to their advantage. They may prey on your fears or guilt, making promises that sound appealing, but ultimately serve to further their own interests. The exploiter lacks genuine respect for the autonomy and dignity of others. They view relationships not as partnerships based on mutual respect and understanding, but as opportunities for personal gain. This consistent exploitation leaves others feeling disrespected, powerless, and diminished, as their needs and desires are ignored in favor of the exploiter's self-serving agenda. Recognizing this pattern early allows you to guard against manipulation and protect your own interests from being taken advantage of. Dealing with individuals who display signs of manipulation, deceit, and exploitation can be incredibly draining and harmful. Recognizing these traits, lack of empathy, chronic dishonesty, and consistent exploitation, helps safeguard your emotional and mental well-being. It empowers you to set boundaries, protect your trust, and ultimately preserve your peace of mind. While these people may create chaos, remember that you have the power to remain grounded, wise, and resilient. Always stay true to your values and do not allow the toxic behavior of others to undermine your sense of self. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on this important topic. May you always walk with clarity, strength, and wisdom in every interaction you face. Good luck in recognizing and handling these toxic dynamics, and remember to prioritize your own peace. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and take care.